In the remote mountain town of Ashwood, time moved slowly. Winds whispered secrets through thick pine forests, and fallen leaves rustled like fading memories. This wasn't the kind of place where people asked, "How are you?" They looked into each other's eyes and understood. On the outskirts of Ashwood, past the creek and deep into the trees, stood a worn cabin, its walls weathered by snow and sorrow. That cabin belonged to Jonas Whittaker, a man as rugged as the land he worked, and as silent as the forest that surrounded him. 7 winters ago, Jonas had been a husband. His wife, Anna, had gone out in a light snow to collect firewood. But a storm had rolled in unexpectedly, and a falling tree branch took her life. Jonas found her himself, cold, still, and broken. Since that day, Jonas stopped living and began surviving. He no longer spoke unless necessary. No laughter, no visitors. Just the steady rhythm of chopping wood and fixing things that didn't need fixing. He had buried his past beneath layers of bark, snow, and silence. On a cold gray afternoon, Jonas drove his old pickup into town. He needed nails and potatoes, nothing more. But as he neared the town square, he noticed a crowd forming. Curious despite himself, he parked and followed the murmurs. A makeshift stage had been erected. Above it, a faded banner read, "Compassion Auction, a controversial practice still legal in Ashwood County." Desperate women, many without families or homes, were auctioned off under the guise of protection, employment, or companionship. Each woman stood on stage with a burlap sack over her head, identified only by a number. Jonas felt sick. He turned to leave, until he saw number 6. Something was different about her. While others looked down or trembled, number 6 stood upright. Her hands were rough. Her shoulders square. Not defiant, but resilient. As if she wasn't broken, only waiting. The bidding began. Number 6. Opening bid, $5. No response. $3. Still nothing. Jonas didn't even know why he opened his mouth. "I got, 2. Laughter rippled through the crowd. A few jeered. One man clapped mockingly. The auctioneer shrugged. "Sold. To the Lumberjack." Jonas didn't say a word as he walked her to his truck. She didn't speak either. She sat beside him like she belonged there, even though no one ever had. Halfway down the dirt road, he finally asked, his voice hoarse from disuse. "Do you have a name?" There was silence. Then, softly, like wine through pine needles, she said, "Anna." Jonas slammed on the brakes. His breath caught. His heart stopped. That name. That voice. He looked at her, eyes wide, searching. "What did you say?" She turned her head, sack still covering her face. "Anna. My name is Anna." Over the next few days, she moved through the cabin like she'd always been there. She cooked without asking, chopped wood without flinching, and left honey in Jonas's tea. Just the way his Anna used to. Jonas watched her closely. Her hands bore the same scar Anna had once gotten from slicing bread. Her hum, soft and barely there, matched the tune Anna used to sing while washing dishes. Was this a ghost? A dream? A cruel coincidence? One night, Jonas rummaged through an old chest and found their wedding photo. Her smile, bright and full of life, jumped off the paper. He placed the photo in front of her, hand trembling. "Is this, you?" She took the photo gently, her fingers tracing the edges like she was touching an old wound. "I was her, once. Maybe I still am." A brutal thunderstorm swept through Ashwood one night. Lightning cracked the sky, and the cabin shivered under the force of the wind. Jonas found her curled up near the fireplace, eyes wide, lips trembling, not from cold, but fear. She whispered through tears. "They told me I died. That no one would ever look for me. They buried my name, Jonas. And when I tried to run, they beat me. Again. And again. She paused, her voice broken. I stopped screaming. I stopped hoping. But one part of me, a tiny flicker, held on to you. Jonas's heart shattered and mended in the same breath. He knelt beside her. You're not lost anymore. You're home. The days that followed were unlike any Jonas had known in years. Laughter returned to the cabin. Anna baked again. She planted flowers beside the porch, just like she once had. And Jonas? He rebuilt. He tore down the old shed and began building a new cabin, brick by brick. Not just for survival, but for living. Spring arrived, and with it, their second wedding day. Anna stitched her own white dress. Simple. Pure. The town watched in stunned silence as the same woman who had once stood on stage with a sack on her head now walked with grace and dignity down the makeshift aisle. Is that really the same woman? Someone whispered. Jonas smiled and replied. She's more than the same. She's stronger. Braver. And she's mine. Together, Jonas and Anna turned their new home into a shelter. A place for women who had nowhere to go, those who had been forgotten, mistreated, or sold like property. Anna would sit with each one, hold their hands, and say the same words every time. They took my name, too. But when I spoke it again, I came back to life. She taught them not just to survive, but to reclaim their voices. Today, people in Ashwood still tell the story. Of the quiet lumberjack who offered $2. Of the woman with no name who changed his world. And how the power of a single name brought two broken hearts back to life. Love, dignity, and identity, sometimes all it takes is a name to bring them back. They say some people keep breathing after losing everything, they work, they move, but they don't really live. They merely exist. Jonas was one of those people. A lonely lumberjack buried deep in the forest, he didn't smile, didn't speak. He just chopped wood all day and let the silence swallow him whole. His wife, his love, had vanished in a snowstorm years ago. And with her, he lost the last reason he had to keep on living. But then, life took a strange and unexpected turn. At a grim auction, where women were being sold like objects, Jonas stopped in front of one, a woman with a sack over her head, her face hidden, but her presence, it carried something powerful. Something broken, yet whole. When no one bid for her, Jonas raised his hand and bought her, for just $2. Maybe out of pity. Maybe something deeper called to him. And then, time stood still. She spoke her name, Anna. It was the same name as his wife. The same voice. The same habits. The same quiet pain in her eyes. And slowly, the truth unraveled. She was Anna. She hadn't died. She had been taken. Hidden. Her identity erased. The man who had buried love long ago, found it reborn in front of him. Sometimes life gives us back what we thought we lost, but only when we have the courage to give someone else back their identity, their dignity, their rightful place in this world. A person's name holds power, it's not just a word, it's a history, a soul, a truth. $2 can't measure a human being's worth, but it can be the price of recognizing their worth. Silence hides screams. And those who endure quietly are often the strongest among us. Love never truly dies, it smolders beneath the ashes, waiting for a name, a touch, a moment of belief to ignite it again. When one soul chooses to see another's pain and embraces it with open arms, life breathes anew. So always remember. Never strip someone of their identity. Instead, give it back to them. Because sometimes, a name is the key to rebuilding someone's whole world.